Okay, we are live. And I'm sorry about the little delay getting started, but we had a couple of last minute emails that we had to deal with. And one of them is from Steve, and I have to send him the link so that he can join. And let me see if I can do this on the other computer here. Just bear with me a second while I get this together. Hey, Google, turn on living room lights. And I got to get the link here for StreamYard. Just give me a second here. This is the invite link that I'm sending to Steve, to the Stevester. Here it is. Okay. All right, so we're sending that to him. And hopefully he can join from Las Vegas. This is an emergency broadcast today, emergency broadcast. And as such, I'm just now getting ready. If I was ready, it wouldn't be an emergency. Okay. So one of the things we're going to talk about are the new Grand Seiko models that were announced. And Hodinkee has an article, and I've got a link in the description to that article. And they have listened. Grand Seiko have listened, 80% or so. And I'm gonna spoiler alert, the watch is a stunner. So that's a spoiler alert. These two watches that they've come out with are 40 millimeter watches, 11.8 millimeters thick. And yet they have a screw down crown, and they are stunners. Now the gold one is rose gold, so I would pass on that, but the steel watch is very interesting. Very interesting. I have said in the past that I don't recommend paying more than $5,000 for a steel watch, but I think I'll make an exception on this one. This one's around $8,000, I think, give or take. And it is a stunner. It is an absolute stunner. That dial is just stunning in the photographs that I've seen. And photographs usually don't do these watches justice. So I can imagine in person, the watch has got to be stunning. I mean, and you talk about blowing away a Datejust in any way you possibly can. I think this watch does that. You know, the Datejust had the edge in that it was thinner. And the big Datejust is 41 mil, I believe, isn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong. But this one's 40 mil. So this is the large end of the spectrum as far as I'm concerned for an all-arounder. This is kind of pushing it right to the edge there. I would have liked to have seen it 38.5 mils like this watch is for an all-arounder, but 40 I think is within the realm of possibilities. I found the Snowflake was 41 mils and a little bit thicker, of course. I think it's like 12.6 mils thick, which is significantly thicker actually. And so that to me made it a not great all-arounder, a little bit too thick to wear for dress purposes. This watch at 11.8 mils is right in Datejust territory. I think a Datejust is 11.7 mils thick. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's very hard to get the data from Rolex as far as how thick their watches are. There are third-party sites that give the thicknesses of the various watches, but not Rolex official. If somebody can send me a link to something from Rolex that gives the thicknesses, that would be nice to see. But as far as I know, the Datejust is 11.7 mils. And so this watch at 11.8 mils thick is right there with it, right there with it. And so I think that's huge. I think it's huge what they've done. And we'll talk about some other details of the watches here in a moment, but let me get caught up on the comments. Stig said, good evening. And Kyle was in the house. Leslie's hanging out. Stig's in the house. They're all saying hi to everybody. And so Carlos is in the house hanging out. And we got some folks from Austria. Okay. Let's see. Boozer's in the house. And okay. And the new GS releases, the gold version is 50K. They look great. Okay. Yeah, again, they're doing the whole limited edition thing. Hopefully they'll come out with a regular production model of each of these watches, and hopefully they'll come out with a gold version in yellow gold. And they'll come out with some regular production models that'll have more affordable pricing, hopefully. But Grand Seiko is clearly going upscale. They're clearly going right after that upscale market, right in the face of Rolex. I think they're just going right after them. So we'll see what happens. How do you feel about the hour hand? I like it. I like the looks of those hands. I think they look nice and sturdy. They look kind of strong. They've got a simplicity to them also. I think it's a very classy looking dial setup. I can't tell if it has lume on it or not. Do you all know? Does it have any lume? To me, it wouldn't be a deal killer if it doesn't on a watch like that. You know, on a big dive watch, I expect, well, my dive watch is on the bench. On a big dive watch, I expect good lume, or on like something like a GMT Master, I expect good lume. But on an all-arounder or a dress watch, I don't really expect it. 5,000 last year is 8,000 this year with Biden inflation. I hear you. I mean, I think you're right on that, Jaden. I think you called that just the way it is. The fiat currency is not buying much of a watch anymore. But the watch still isn't 36 mil, still has a date, and probably doesn't have micro adjustments on the bracelet. Yeah, the micro adjustments on the bracelet is still an issue. It is definitely an issue that they should address. And hopefully, you know, if we keep bitching about it, hopefully at some point they'll do something. Now, they did put the power meter on the back, which a lot of people have been asking for, which I'm good with. I like it. It's on the back on this stunner here. Let's take a look here. See if we can get this in focus. There we go. I really like that clean look, and I'm with you on the date. I think they should offer a no date version. If I were Grand Seiko and I were calling the shots, I would use this watch as a starting point, and I would have it available in 36 mil, 38 mil, and 40 mil. I would have micro adjustments. I would probably have a bracelet similar to what they have set up now. I'd probably have a bracelet that opens like that. I don't know what you call those. And I would have like a little micro adjustment on each side. So you could have like the Easy Link they have on Rolex, but not as much of an adjustment, maybe where it's just like 1 millimeter on each side and of a micro adjustment. So that would give you a total of 2 millimeters of adjustment. I think that would be enough. I think they could still have the bracelet very elegant, very trim. I don't want them to make it bulkier. I don't want to give up the trim look of the current Grand Seiko clasp on that model of watch. But a little micro adjustment on each side would be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And offer this model in 36 mil, 40 mil, 36 mil, 38 mil, and 40 mil, and offer it with or without the date. Make the date an option. And that would be a killer lineup of do it all, wear anytime, you know, basically date just competitor. And it would give you an advantage over the date just in that the date just isn't available without a date. Hi, Craig, and all, says David Williams. And again, this is a little more upscale watch. I wouldn't compare this to like an Oyster Perpetual or something like that. This is a little more upscale. This is right in line with the date just as far as the pecking order. That's the way I would look at it. Carlos in the house, I think you're right. Date just a little less than 12 millimeters. Day date is 12 millimeters. Yes. I'm always right, Carlos. So there's that, right? Um, is rose gold a bastard? I just don't see the reason for it. I yellow gold is gorgeous, always has been for thousands of years. Why mess with it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm an old-fashioned kind of guy. I don't go for the flashy stuff that of no real help, right? Like these low-profile tires and these oversized wheels and things that ruin the handling on your car and causes you to have blowouts and expensive tire replacements. So I'm not going to go there if I don't need to. If there's no real reason to do it, I'm not going to do it. And there's no real reason to go to some tinted color gold when yellow gold is just fantastic. I mean, look at it. I mean, come on, guys and gals. Come on. Come on. Look at the yellow gold. Here, let's look here. Let's see if I can get them both in here. Can't really. Oh, I know what I could do. I'll just put this next to the watch. Hold on. Taking off the faux pay. Put it right next to the watch. Here we go. All right. So look at that. So you guys tell me. How can you possibly improve on that? By the way, this is a nice hefty bracelet. And if you don't remember how these go on and off, watch how I do this. I just roll it right over my hand. The whole thing stretches, right? It stretches, and it is all 18 karat gold, including the springs in between those links that allow it to stretch. It's all 18 karat gold. So that is pretty freaking amazing, if you ask me, that faux pay can do that. Still waiting for my white birch. And also wrote, this watch is stunning. Yeah, I would cancel the white birch. I would get in touch with Steve at Little Treasury and get on the list for one of these. There's going to be 2021 of them, right? I think that's the limited edition number. So I would get on the list and get one of those. Triforce says, what's up, everyone? And how thin is the latest GS? We're just talking about it. It is 11.7 mils, according to their specs. According to their specs, and Hodinkee and all them, but they might be just going on Grand Seiko specs. I don't know how many people have actually measured the watch, but it's thin. I like rose gold personally, but it looks bad on my skin tone. Yeah, go with yellow gold. Go with yellow gold, and you'll get over the whole liking it now. You'll grow out of that. It's just a fad. It's not. There's no long-term thing there. Carlos, date or no date? Says Triforce Rich. And date. Carlos likes the date. And so that's not bad at all. Very nice. Just depends on case construction for how it appears. See, I think that it will hug the. I mean, Grand Seiko is famous for the case design hugging the wrist, right? And the way they design the lug. See how this watch just kind of really hugs the wrist? Their Grand Seiko does a great job on that. My diver is 14.1 mils according to the specs thick, and it wears thinner than that just because of the shape of the lugs and the way the bracelet drapes around. It really does hug the wrist. So I think it's going to do a great job of hugging the wrist. It's going to do a much better job of hugging the wrist than any super case, for example. I mean, those are atrocious. And also from a standpoint of comfort, Rich's GS is much better than this new piece, smaller, cheaper, better looking, and comes with a leather strap and a bracelet. Okay, good points, good points. Craig, was 9/11 an inside job? What's the definitive answer? It doesn't really matter if it was an inside or outside job if we didn't have our current corrupt financial system and our military industrial complex, which is funded by our corrupt financial system, then none of these things would be happening. And so Bitcoin fixes this. There's an old saying that has been around the Bitcoin community for a while. Of course, not that long because Bitcoin's only 12 years old, but Bitcoin fixes this. Point to any problem that we have, and it usually goes back to the corrupt government and or financial system, which is basically all intertwined. You fix the corruption there, and you're not going to have all these foreign wars and all this engagement around the world and us sticking our nose in everybody's business. I mean, nobody's going to want to fund that. And if we're on a Bitcoin standard, people have to voluntarily fund the thing. The government can't take Bitcoin from you, right? So, it turns the whole thing around to where government becomes a service again, serving the people, not something that is a growth unto itself, serving itself, right? Kyle, I sold the GS. I only have 3 watches now: Explorer, James Cameron, and a Pepsi. Okay, so sell the Pepsi, Triforce Rich, sell the Pepsi, and take that money and buy Bitcoin, like immediately. And yes, that is financial advice. People say, oh, it's not financial advice, right? But hey, it's what I would do. I mean, obviously, if you're going to do it, you're doing it with your own money and it's your own decision, but it's what I would do. So, yeah. I mean, you're at the top. We're at the top of the market as far as steel Rolex values. They ain't going any higher than this. Let me tell you, they're not. And if they do, it'll be compared to Bitcoin. It won't be as much, right? Everything's going to inflate because of all the money printing. But yeah, I would get while the getting is good. I'd become a whole coiner, what we call a whole coiner. That's somebody that owns one whole Bitcoin. I'd do that as soon as you possibly can, because there's going to come a time when it's going to be virtually impossible to own one whole Bitcoin. Nobody wants a copper watch. There you go. Okay. Well, your old GS. Okay. How does GS justify for 50 gold for the rose gold? That they don't have to justify it. It's their thing. They're pricing it, and they are going to sell it. If they sell it, if they don't sell it, they won't sell it. I mean, it's up to them. I mean, if you look at the prices of some of these other watches out there that are gold, that are, similar, that's not out of line. There are a lot of lesser watches out there, I'll put it that way, that are gold, that are more money. So, yeah. But I wouldn't buy it because of the rose gold. I would consider it if it was yellow gold. I'd consider it. Probably not for that much money. Should I buy the Seiko Shogun or a 9F entry level Grand Seiko? The Shogun is a great watch, Logan. If you're not super concerned with accuracy, that's the biggest problem with that watch. That's the reason why I sold mine, is it just wasn't as accurate as I would have liked it to have been, and it was losing time. If it was gaining the same amount of time that it was losing, and that's a luck of the draw, right? If you get one that's losing time versus gaining time, most of them are going to gain time, I think. But mine happened to be, I was unlucky and mine was losing time. That was why I sold it, because it's a pain in the neck to reset a watch that's lost time, right? You got to resynchronize the minute hand with the hour hand. You got to go through all that, right? Whereas if it's running fast, you just unscrew the crown, stop it for a few seconds, and start it back up, and you're back in sync, right? So that's why I sold mine. So if you don't care as much about extreme accuracy, then go for the Shogun. It's a great piece. It really is a comfortable, heavy use, robust. That movement is not that accurate, but it's robust. It's a hell of a watch. Now, the 9F is a whole different animal. I mean, it's you're not going to find a sport model like that in a 9F. It's very hard to find. Most 9Fs are going to be like an all-arounder type of thing. And they're going to be usually more money than what you'd pay for the Shogun. So a little bit of apples and oranges there. Small rotation is nice. Hey, I got the 2-watch rotation going on, 2-watch. And I would not be against going down to a 1-watch rotation and wearing the 002 all the time. Life is short, man. I should really be wearing the 002 all the time, is what I should be doing. That's what I should be doing, folks. Triforce says, I don't even wear anything but my Explorer and Fitbit these days, to be honest. The Pepsi and James Cameron have been collecting dust in the safe. Yeah, I would sell both of those. No reason to keep them. Absolutely no reason. We're at the top of the market. I would sell both of them, try to get decent prices for both of them, and take that money and put it in Bitcoin immediately, if not sooner. That's what I would do if they were my watches. I have heard some speculation about an activity that will make your skin darker quite soon. Oh, what's that? What is that? What is that? Wow, the comments just jumped. Okay, let's get on it here. Hello, I was sweating in the sun for 2 hours today. Maybe it went from bright white to ivory. Um, is Carlos inviting Rich to the nudist colony beach in Panama? There you go. I'm seeing a lot of Instagram photos of guys wearing their faux pay bands and their bracelets on the same wrist as their watch. Is that a matter of preference? Carl in the house. A lot of people do that. Um, I I think you're inviting trouble. I mean, why would you want the, especially if you've got a gold watch, why would you want the bracelet right next to that gold, just banging on that gold all the time? I think that's just not, I mean, I'm not, you know, like I don't have a phobia on scratches, but I'm certainly not going to invite them. It would not hurt the faux pay at all. It wouldn't hurt the faux pay one bit because it doesn't show scratches just because of the way it's designed. It just gets like a patina on it and it just looks stunning all the time. But no, I don't think I would put it next to a gold watch. And if I'm wearing a gold faux pay, I'm generally going to be wearing a gold watch. I mean, I'd like to kind of have the things match, right? Now, if you had it next to a steel watch, no big deal. I mean, who cares? Steel watch is going to have a bunch of scratches anyway. But yeah, I think it looks fine on the opposite wrist. I think it looks fine, and that's how Steve wears his, and that's who I learned about all the faux pay stuff from, was the Stevester. The Stevester. For a vacation watch, would you guys choose an Omega Speedmaster Date 322.80, a Rolex Datejust 36 mil 116201, Arabic concentric dial, or Seiko Turtle Blue Lagoon? For vacation watch. Vacation watch. Well, first of all, if I got a Datejust, I would get the I'd get one with the Jubilee bracelet and the fluted white gold bezel and a more conservative dial. I don't think I would get the Arabic dial, but yeah, a Datejust is just a fantastic all around 36 mil Datejust. Are you kidding me? I mean, that's like the quintessential, whatever the word is. Can't even pronounce it. That is the all around piece, for decades and decades. Let's see. An HD blue strap might look great on this new Blue GS HD straps. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It would look, absolutely. And get a deployment class from Steve. And that would be like killer. That would be a killer combination. And maybe get a blue strap made of like shark or something like that. Something really exotic, and wear that. Yeah, good call. Let's see here. Not the worst idea, Craig. Which idea? Can you even get a Shogun anymore? You'd have to buy it used. They do have a newer model. They do have a new model. I forget what the designation is now, but I think they do make a newer version of it. And it was a Japan market watch when I bought it. I don't know if it still is or not. Entry-level GS is far superior to top-tier Seiko besides LX series. Good point. Accuracy is overrated. Yeah, it just depends on your use case. I like a really accurate watch because I do a lot of things during the day that are time sensitive. Like I call into the radio station and I'll say, hey, I want you to call in at, 10:06 a.m., something like that, right? And so I've, out of respect, I call it at exactly the time that they ask me to call. And they always make sure to free up a line at that time. So, if I call late or something or whatever, I might not get through. So I have things that I do that are time sensitive. Of course, this broadcast, and see, I was late anyway, even though I know the time. Imagine if my watch was off, I'd be even later, right? So, so yeah, I like a watch to be accurate. Okay, let's see here, dear Craig. I think this watch is MIT available in Australia. Do you mean it's not in Austria? I can't say Australia, Austria. Well, hopefully Steve can ship it to you. Contact Steve at Little Treasury, littletreasury.com. And let me put a streamer across here. Yeah, there it is. Littletreasury.com, littletreasury.com. And the event, I'll put the streamer across with the event that's coming up on the 8th and the 9th. So yeah. Let's see, where am I at here? Okay. Craig, would you still wear your faux pay and signet ring if you were going to a tropical nudist colony? Well, I typically wear I would typically wear the gold watch and the faux pay and stuff like that when I'm kind of dressed up going out to dinner or doing something. If I'm just like doing general stuff, these days I wear the diver, and I might be wearing the Bitcoin ring, which I have on right here, the silver one. Here we go. I'll be wearing that. When I get the gold signet ring, which should be here in a couple of weeks, that one I will wear if I'm wearing this watch and the faux pay. This would be gold, right? The only reason it's not gold right now is I don't have it yet, right? So I do try to match, and like my pin is gold, my DuPont, okay? So I do try to match my things that I have, right? As best I can. Let's see here. I'm actually a big fan of the new Blue GS that is like the 002. The new Blue GS is like the 002. Which one is that? I don't know which one you're talking about. Oh, are you talking about the stainless steel version, basically, of the 002? But it's not blue. I think it has a blued second hand, if that's what you're talking about, like this one does. See if I can get this. Here we go. Yeah, so yeah, it has a blued second hand. It's basically this watch in steel. And yeah, that's a good one. I think they're hard to get. I think there's a waiting list. But that's a home run. I mean, they did the job on that watch. That's a fantastic piece, and Rich agrees. Kyle agrees. I mean, hope all is well. Okay. And Craig, how would you rank all your military branches from best to your least favorite? I don't know that much about them, but I would say Marines are pretty much all that. So yeah. And I've had a lot of interaction with Marines up here at Camp David because they take care of security, and so I know some of them, and they're all good guys. Of course, they're the ones that work at Camp David and around the perimeter around this area. They're like top notch. It's a difficult assignment, right? And so you got to be pretty much all that to even get that assignment. Too bad it's manual. I can't work for my watch. It must work for me. Yeah, but you got a 3-day power reserve. It isn't that hard to wind this watch. So, I mean, that's a trade-off. They would have had to make it a little thicker to make it automatic. So I kind of like it thin. But yeah, if they could make it this same thickness and make it automatic, that'd be pretty cool. But here's the thing. If it's a watch that you don't wear that often, it's actually cool to be manual wind because it's you just pick it up, wind it right real quick, set the time, and go. And you know, if it's an auto wind watch, it's going to be stopped anyway. So and it's good that it doesn't have a screw down crown for that same reason, right? Because you got to be able to just pick it up and wind it without having to unscrew a crown and go through all that. So anyway, I like it. It's working for me, including Space Force. There you go. Well, I mean, here's the thing. We don't need 90% of our military. 90% of it can just go away, and we can just spend that money on things that are more productive, right? So, let's face it, nobody's going to attack the United States. I mean, even during World War II, when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor and all, they were talking over between the command, whether or not they should invade the U.S. on the West Coast there. And they basically, the top echelon basically said, no way. And I think there's a quote, there's a rifle behind every blade of grass, right? And they're scared to death to try to invade the United States, right? Because everybody's armed. So, yeah, we don't need a huge standing military. It's just ridiculous. Okay, so especially if we get off the dollar standard and get out of the fiat. See, the main thing that the military is good for is enforcing the fiat currency system and keeping the military industrial complex going and all that. But if we go over to a hard money system like Bitcoin, then we don't need all of that. So there you go. That watch is such a dress-oriented piece that I don't think it would matter. It wouldn't be worn consistently. Which watch? The 007? That's correct. Yeah, if you're just going to pick it up, wind it, and go out to dinner or something like that, it's nice that it doesn't have a date. It's nice that it's no screw-down crown. So literally, you just wind it. You stop the second hand at the straight up 12. You set your time a minute ahead of wherever the minute is, and then you wait till the time gets to there. You push the crown in, and then you go to dinner, right? It's very quick and easy to set it whenever you're going to use it. Mine tends to not stop because I do wear it often enough that, that 72-hour power reserve, it keeps running, right? So when I pick it up and I'm going to use it, like I'm going out somewhere and I'm going to wear it, I just pick it up, I wind it, and then I go, and then I might set it down. I might not use it for a day or maybe even two, but it's by the time I use it the next time, it's generally always working. It's almost never stopped on me. So that's where that 72-hour power reserve comes in handy. Quinn said, yeah, I still can't pronounce it. Rocky Raccoon, can you please use it in the sentence? Where's Steve? I gave him the link. He hasn't come in. Craig, would you turn in your 002 if Rolex came out with a new 36 millimeter, 18 karat yellow gold oyster quartz President? I don't know. I don't think it would have the spring drive. I love looking at this secondhand, just kind of smoothing around. And just the design of this, the shape of it and everything. I mean, I can't honestly think of a way that I would improve this watch. I mean, I've thought about it. I'm very picky, as you guys know. I pick things apart, right? And the way the lugs shape to my hand, the crown, the way it's nice and robust, the beautiful dial, the sweep of the second hand, the way the indices catch all the light. I mean, it just, I don't know if I was a watch designer and I could go to Grand Seiko and say, hey, I want you to do this, that, and the other thing. I'm not sure what I would tell them to do. I think I'm done. I think it's so comfortable on wrist. This clasp works so well with the two triggers. It's very easy to take loose, and yet it doesn't accidentally come loose on its own. See, a lot of clasp designs are a little bit tricky to work, and you got to fold the thing back, and you got to this is super quick and easy to use. And my diver, I will tell you, is super quick and easy to take on and off the wrist. So from a functionality standpoint, they absolutely nailed it. They absolutely nailed it, in my opinion. Okay, I value robustness, quality, and class, so I prefer Rolex and Lexus. If I'm being honest, I'm going to say I prefer GS to Omega now. Rolex, GS, Omega after owning multiple all brands. Yeah, but I'll tell you what, if you step up to an 002, it's hard to get any Rolex that would equal the 002. I mean, it really is pretty much, I think, impossible. And I have to say, for the same thing with the 231, I mean, you can't get a sport model Rolex that can do the things that watch can do. And my gosh, talk about robust. I mean, that thing's been through 4 years of heavy use. It still looks great. The bracelet looks great. Everything looks great. It's got a patina to it, but I mean, it just looks great. So, yeah, Rolex really can't touch the 1-2 punch rotation that I have. Just can't touch it. Okay. But the taxes are very high. Okay. Living in EU, you have to pay massive tax when importing stuff from outside, even if you have bought Craig's diver immediately. If somebody bought my diver, this one, and I just shipped it to them, are you telling me that on the other side, when it gets into the EU, that they're going to open that box and that they're going to go after that person for a whole bunch of money? I don't think they have the time and the inclination to open every box and to do that. I would be shocked if they could do that. So explain to me how that whole thing works, because here's the thing. I had the watch shipped from a gold watch shipped from Japan to here, and technically I was supposed to pay some import duties on that, right? I got the package, I just opened it, I put the watch on my wrist, that was it. I mean, you know, I didn't say anything to anybody. So I don't know. I don't know about all that. Okay, so no, Craig, it's a watch. It's a new watch, not the one you're thinking. Look up SLGH007. Okay, let's do it. Oh, okay. When you say the blue dial, yeah, it is like kind of tinted blue. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that's the watch I was thinking about. You know, which is basically the same movement as my watch. Um, and yeah. Okay. So yeah, it does have like a blue tint to it, but I wouldn't really. I mean, when I think of blue, I'm thinking of more like the one that, you know, the new one coming out. Um, but yeah, I'm sure that watch probably looks stunning in person. So yeah, that's a good one. Craig is thinking of the 003. It launched alongside the 002. The 007 is new. Now, actually, I was thinking about the new one because I think it's a regular production unit. So I was thinking about the regular production unit, but I didn't remember that it didn't have the same dial as the other one. I just didn't remember that aspect of it. But this one, as far as I know, this one is not a limited edition, correct? It's just like the 002 is technically a normal production unit. It's not a limited edition. And a lot of people refer to it as limited edition, but it ain't. Craig, the Chinese have become insanely aggressive these days. They dream of overtaking us. Yeah, good luck with all that. They try to invade the US, they'll have a lot of problems. Okay. Too bad the government wants to take our guns. Yeah, well, good luck with that too. I don't think that's going to work out for them. Craig, what are some things in common with September 11, COVID-19, and Pearl Harbor? Let's see, September 11 comes next to Pearl Harbor. Well, I mean, Pearl Harbor, I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, you could connect all those things with big government, big overreaching government. Clearly September 11 wouldn't have happened if we haven't been sticking our noses all over the world and trying to tell people how to live and so on and so forth. September 11 wouldn't have happened. COVID-19 would have not been the huge government shutdown and overreach and all that we have without big government, right? In Pearl Harbor, we were messing with the Japanese. We were messing with their supply lines and so on and so forth and screwing with them. And that's why they attacked us. So, when you go around the world and you're sticking your nose in people's business and screwing around with people and all, you're messing around with a hornet's nest. Occasionally, the hornets will sting back. So that's how that whole thing works. But you defund that big overreaching government and all those problems go away, right? They can't do a lot of harm if they don't have the money it takes the money for them to do all that harm. Briefit Dance is in the house. He's saying hello to everybody. Carlos is in the house. I think I would love a manual winding watch if I would use a watch like Craig uses, the 002. There you go. Use your Patek like Craig uses his 002. Yeah, life is too short, Carlos. Start wearing your Patek more. Yes, I think you should. I'm a big fan of your channel. Have a snowflake and a titanium spring drive as well. Both run half a second fast a month. Yeah, it's insane how some of these watches run. Stunning quality. Absolutely worth your opinion on these. My sub doesn't cut it. Yeah, sell the sub at the top of the market. Sell the sub while you can still get, high dollar for it. That's what I say. I'm behind on the comments again. I got to apologize to you guys. You would have to tell GS to give it a gold bracelet, screw down crown, loom, micro adjustments, and make it automatic spring drive while keeping the thickness similar to the O2 would be perfect. Yeah, they should offer, what they should do is they should have base model watches, like this can be their base model dress watch, right? And then have options, have it available with auto wind and a screw down crown, have it available with a gold bracelet. So let the person option it out the way they want it, almost bespoke, right? And they should do that with all their watches. They should have a base watch and then offer it various ways. I mean, they should even offer a date option on this, right? And that would be like their line of dress watches. So start out with something that's an absolute stunner and then give people the options they want. Even have maybe 2 or 3 different bracelet styles, right? Why not? What the hell? Just hire Faux Pay to make the bracelets or something. There's people that work in gold that can make stunning bracelets. And, sure, it's going to be expensive, but some people are willing to pay the price. That's what they should do. Let me tell you something. If they put me in charge, they would have, within 6 months, they would have a line of absolutely stunning watches, not limited editions. They would have a watch to compete with the Date 8. They would have a watch to compete with the Datejust. They would have a watch line to compete with each of the major Rolex lines. They'd have a dive watch line that would compete with the dive watches. They'd have maybe a half a dozen different lines. That's all we need. We need a GMT Master line. We need a Submariner line to compete with these, right? We need a Datejust line. We need a dress watch line, which really Rolex doesn't have. The Cellinis are kind of like, yeah, But I would come up with that, and it would be absolutely killer. And each one would have a name that would be easy for people to remember. Heaven forbid that we, just have strange numbers associated with every, let's just have a decent name that everybody can remember. And then we'll have a model number, fine, but have a name for it. Like this one, I would call the GS Stunner. Anyway, we'd come up with a name for it. Craig, what would you replace your Prius with if some bozo were to total it while parked at Hoffman Sub parking lot? Hoffman Sub, it's on the street parking. So that's like if somebody went down the street and just like slammed into it. That's a good question. At this point, I might have to get another Prius just to do what I need to do, but I would be tempted to get an LS 430 or an LS 460. But that one issue with lifting the Segway into the back is still a little bit of an issue, but I'd be tempted to do one or the other. Sounds like you want a day date, Kyle. Okay. I've tried and failed twice to buy a GS. I just can't get into them. I like the Godzilla, but it's way too expensive for what it is. I hear you. I hear you. You have to wait and find just the right watch. You really need to do that. Craig, should non-racial slavery be legal if it's contracted like indentured servitude? I think people should have the choice to do what they want to do. If somebody wants to be, quote, enslaved, and they do that willingly, then why not? But if people are being forced to do that against their will, I don't think that's a good thing. Okay. Let's see. Colin says the Rolex Date 8 is a conditional watch of heads of states worldwide. The Rolex Date 8, they just designed very close to the perfect watch. I mean, think about a watch that you can wear anytime, doing anything. That's a Rolex Date 8. It's robust enough for heavy use. It's dressy enough for dress. It's stunning. I mean, can you imagine if they just had that watch with the spring drive? My God. I mean, talk about the perfect watch. What else could you want? Right? I might go back to one of the thinner cases because I think the case has gotten a little thicker over the years. So I might go back to a slightly thinner case, but that's nitpicking, right? So you take the Date 8 and you put the spring drive in it. Wow. Now, again, this is for people with younger eyes. With my eyes, I like the 38.5 mil size, this a little more readable. But for anybody younger with decent eyes, hard to beat the Date 8. I wore one for 40 years. I wouldn't have worn one for 40 years if it wasn't all that, right? China's a paper tiger. Everything down to their currency is a lie. Empty buildings, terrible infrastructure. They can't even handle mining Bitcoin because of the electricity needed. Well, they blocked the Bitcoin mining because they want to control the currency. They don't want something that they don't have control of. So that's why they got rid of the Bitcoin mining. They've got plenty of power with their hydroelectric dams and stuff to do it. They just don't want something they don't have control of. They want total control over their citizenry. And if their citizenry are using Bitcoin, that's the opposite of control. Okay, our military made our troops wear red high heels. Okay, cool. Okay. Let's see, Craig, is it unsettling that even Trashy Larry is more coherent than our president? Good question. Good question. Oh man, what happened there? I'm getting way behind on the comments. I'm sorry. In Denmark, they try to open every bloody package. The authorities collect billions of money. We aren't talking about 25%. That's life and social. Yeah, but do they really open all of them though? I mean, I don't know. Anyway, Craig, has your Prius ever stranded you? No, it's been bulletproof reliable. Are we going to Hoffman Subs as part of the event? It's an hour and a half away. So I don't think so. Apparently a lot of people are willing to be slaves. Yeah, you got that right. Craig, I'm pretty sure Bree would agree to be your indentured servant for enough BTC. No, she actually likes her freedom, and she's doing all right on her own. She doesn't really need to enter into such an agreement. So, Craig, if someone signs a 10-year indentured servitude contract and severely regrets the decision after a couple of years, how should it be handled contractually? They are a slave. That's a good question. That's a good question. I think that maybe they would have to buy their way out of the contract or something. I mean, a contract's a contract. So, yeah. You make your decisions, you make your bed, you got to lie in it. My acne has been improving. No pimples on my face anymore, says Bree. Good. Good. Good, good, good. Yes, she's been working on her overall appearance so that she can make her videos and look stunning. So that's a good thing. Okay. Maybe send them to prison for breaking the contract. Okay. Great news, Bree. Can you call in and show us? Thanks. Let's see. Hundreds of Chinese workers committed suicide in a short period of time building the Panama Railroad. Committed to wow. Craig, can you calculate the BTC price that will see Michael Saylor as the world's richest man? Let me think. Yeah, I don't think he has enough because he's only got about 100,000 Bitcoin. I mean, he's still buying. So, even if he got to where he had 200,000 Bitcoin, right? What's 200,000 times a million? I say, I don't think that's even enough to be the world's richest man. So I think he's got to buy a bunch more Bitcoin. You see, to give you an idea, Satoshi has 1 million Bitcoin, right? And so if Bitcoin hits $1 million, Satoshi would be a trillionaire. So he would be like a trillionaire. So he would be wealthier than everybody, right? If it hit $1 million. So, and even if it hit 500,000, he would be worth $500 billion. He'd be worth 500 billion. So he'd be wealthier than anybody else, right? As of the way things are now. So you need a lot of Bitcoin to be wealthier than somebody like Jeff Bezos. Yeah. BTC is freedom. There you go. My father hangs up the phone every time he is offered a steel Rolex. I told he need to phone me instead. They go through my father because they know he will reject. Oh, that's a shame. Bree, you should ask Craig to get you face cream. Let's see here. My family has bought Rolex for generations. Their underhanded tactics are a shame. I have so many day dates, I've lost count. There you go. I hope they're yellow gold. Craig, did you take a lot of convincing to get Bree to work? Did it take a lot of convincing to get Bree to work with you, or did she jump on the opportunity? Well, she can answer that question. I think she saw the opportunity and took advantage pretty much right away. Some people see opportunity when it's presented to them. Some people are blind as a bat when they have opportunity presented to them. Kyle's in the house, but we don't know if Satoshi is real. Is Michael Saylor the second highest holder? Bezos is currently worth just under 200 billion, and so is Musk. I don't know how many coins Musk is holding, though. Yeah, we don't know some of these things, and we don't know how many Bitcoin, for example, Max Kaiser has. He could have a significant amount of Bitcoin. We don't know. He just doesn't talk about it. He did hint back years ago on how much he had, and people have extrapolated from that about how much they think he might have now. But he was buying it, when it was $1. So he might have a lot. It's really some of these whales, some of these Bitcoin whales, we really don't know who they are, and we really don't know how much Bitcoin they have. Some of them are really good at obfuscating. You will join us in November. And by the way, the Bitcoin is becoming more distributed all the time. These whales are slowly selling, and it's becoming more distributed around. And so there'll come a time when there won't be as many Bitcoin whales. Now, somebody like Michael Saylor, he'll probably still be holding with a strong hand, but a bunch of these whales, when they see a top, when they see, Bitcoin, they think is over, is too high, they'll sell some, right? They've been selling off over the years. And so it's getting more and more distributed. Michael Sella just bought 170 million worth of BTC, adding to his already huge stack. When did he buy it? Do tell. Do share. Craig, can you do your oh, you went imitation of a troll. Yeah, well they're like this, right? Aren't they like that? Yeah, I think that's how they are. Let's see. How do we have the name Satoshi? Is he or she the wealthiest person on earth? How do we have? No, I think Bitcoin would have to get up to, like I said, maybe 250,000 a Bitcoin or something. Then he'd be the richest. So it's got a ways to go. Bitcoin has to pump a ways further. I mean, it would be amazing if he were to all of a sudden come forward, he or she, and identify themselves. That would be like wild to find out who it is. And I mean, can you imagine? But I don't think that's going to happen. I think that the person is probably deceased, is my guess. And I think he probably burned the keys to his Bitcoin. So I think that's why it's never moved. So I think that Bitcoin can go on the list of Bitcoin that will never move. The lost Bitcoin. You can't troll with your arms like that. How do you feel about the Omega Seamaster? Some of them are good. I had a Seamaster 120, I think it was. They make some good models. Absolutely make some good models. Some Aquaterras, some of the Aquaterras are nice. Depends on the case design and the thickness of them. Some of them have gotten a little thick. So yeah, you got to watch that. Let's see. How did the name Satoshi come about? It was a nom de plume that he used. It was that was a name that he used in some of the forums and when he, in the early days when he was interacting with people, he used the name Satoshi Nakamoto. So that was the name he picked. Craig, if someone stole your 002, would you have it replaced? Let's see. Well, first of all, it might be difficult to replace it. But yeah, I probably would. I would probably replace it. I don't have it insured, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. I'm not paying those fees, right? So yeah, if somebody stepped to me and wanted to take the 002, that the likelihood is that it probably wouldn't work out well for them. I'll put it that way. Let's see. When is Little Treasury having an event? It's tickering across the bottom. It's literally on the ticker, October 8 and 9, 2021. Is anyone in here going? Yes, a bunch of people are going. A bunch of people are going. I need to get away from the ex-wife quick. Yes, you need to. You need to go to the event. Craig, we need to go back to the suit days and the fedora. I miss those live streams. When it gets cold, I'll be dressing up because I'll be cold and I'll have to. Okay, I see the bottom now. Okay. All right. I don't know. I guess Steve is not coming in. Please send the link. I'm going to meet with Oris now. I sent him the link, but he hasn't come in. So I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do. Let's see. What would happen if the dogman came up to you to take your 002? I'd probably laugh. I'd probably just be laughing. Yeah. Not sure what I would do if all my watches were stolen, but probably I would not purchase any expensive watch. Um, do you have them insured, Carlos? Please tell me you do, because you've got a lot of them, and you're in an area that might be questionable as far as security. I don't know what your security is like there. See, here I'm like, this place is insanely secure. Nobody can get anywhere near here. Um, so, and the places I go, I don't really go to places that are that risky. And when I do go places, I usually have a security detail with me. So I don't see the real need for insurance. Derek's in the house. Blue is here, and oh, I just skipped a bunch of stuff. Let me go back here. Can't stop. Derek in the house. Triforce Rich. Carlos, your Doxa is your true companion. That tutor can never replace it. Can't stop now. Let's see. Are you going to Steven's event? That's right. We can't stop. Blue. Not planning to. Maybe if Bree was there and I was guaranteed a date. Bree's going to be there. Bree's going to be there. You bring your Bitcoin with you, and maybe we can work something out. Let's see. I was invited to his event on October 7, 8, and 9. Well, it's October 8 and 9. Maybe he's got a VIP thing going on for you on the 7th. I have great security, but insurance is too expensive. Okay, got you. Bree is coming. Okay. And Craig, this guy named Uptick Watches bought a new tutor and it crapped out soon thereafter. He's been in service center for over 2 months with no communication from them. Oh, well. Oh, well. That's what happens when you mess with tutors. I will share my Bitcoin wallet with Bree and all my passcodes, says Blue. All right. Oh, Craig, if I come, can I come to the compound for a tour? It's an hour and a half. So I'm not going to be driving back here. As a matter of fact, Steve, I think he said he's putting me up at the same hotel that the rest of the Wrench Gang are going to be at. So I'm going to be there in town near Little Treasury because I'm going to be there both Friday and Saturday and maybe even part of Sunday. I don't know what we're doing, but anyway, so I'm not going to be driving back and forth myself because it's literally an hour and a half drive. And especially on a Friday, traffic is terrible. So, yeah, going there on Friday would not be fun. So I'm going to be staying in town. Craig, are you taking a helicopter to Little Treasury? Probably not. Probably not. Probably just a vehicle. But we'll have, 3 or 4 vehicles in our motorcade. Lance will be taking us back to what house for a toga party? Steven's house or Bree's house? Yeah, that's the thing. We've got to see if Steve is going to be entertaining at his place also. So he's got a new place. So hopefully he'll be entertaining. Lance will drive the ambulance. There you go. I will be taking, Blue's going to be taking the chopper. Is there some sort of tour plan for the Wrench Gang? I don't want to be stranded in a Maryland hotel room with bad porn. Well, I mean, we're going to be, the event is, it's an all day event. I don't know when he's wrapping up Friday night, but usually there's some sort of a dinner or something. And then we'll be going at it again on Saturday, all day long on Saturday. So, I mean, all these people that are talking about going on tours places and all that, I mean, I don't know how much time there's going to be. Most of the happenings and going ons is going to be at the event. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people, VIPs at the event that you're going to want to, connect with, right? Maybe we'll take the ambulance. Okay. And let's see. I'm bringing good porn. Try first. I will lend it to you if needed. Carlos is in the house. Should I pack my luxury toga for the event? Would be enough just to use a hotel sheet. Yeah, there you go. I think the hotel sheet will work. Are there going to be games? He has like some contests and some different things that he does. It's kind of fun. You should email Steve and get some more information about what is planned. I hear Dogman wanted to come to Little Treasury. Good. He should come. He get a little bit of culture. We need a plan. What's Rager? We can turn this Little Treasury into Las Vegas. Okay. It's going to be a good one. How many kegs are there? He does have liquor. Liquor's quicker. And he always has some nice hors d'oeuvres and some nice food that they serve during the party. Let's see. Would Steve be upset if a sales associate ended up in my hotel room? Probably not. I would keep it on the down and low. I wouldn't broadcast it, but I think you'd be all right. There's also going to be some watch reps there. They usually hire some hotties that are there. There's usually a bunch of hotties at the event. Let's see here. We can't end yet, says Blue. Craig, will Steve have Hoffman subs there? I don't think so. Again, it's an hour and a half away. And those things you want to eat fresh anyway. Will he have Schlitz beer? I don't know if he's going to have beer. I know he has liquor, but I think he probably does have beer, but I'm not sure. Okay, so let me see if I can call Steve because I'm going to have to wrap this, and he hasn't called in. So let me see what I can find out here. Let's see if I can get him on the phone. No, so there it's ringing. So we'll see what happens here. Calling the Stevester live on the show. I don't think he's going to answer. He's probably in a meeting with Oris. He's probably drinking liquor with the Oris reps. All right, so he's not answering. So hopefully he can call in from Vegas on tomorrow's show. Hopefully that's what he can do. So yeah, I think we're going to have to wrap this one. Are all Wrench Gang members required to buy a faux pay? They should have a faux pay. And they should also get a Bitcoin ring. We're going to have Bitcoin rings available. Okay. Now the rings are going to have to be ordered. They're bespoke. But I'm going to have my Bitcoin ring, and Brianna's going to have her Bitcoin ring. So we're going to have a ladies version and a man's version in 18 karat yellow gold. And we're going to have, this is kind of like a unisex version in sterling silver. So if somebody wants one of these, we're going to let you know how you can get one of these. And then if somebody wants one of the gold ones, I'll have that information ready by then. I should have mine in a couple weeks. So I should have it well prior to the event. Carlos, please don't mind the noise at night. Okay. Carlos, lend me your Rolex. Yeah, he wants, yeah. A lot of, here's the problem is his Rolex won't fit hardly anybody. I mean, he's got, talk about huge wrists. Not a good look for Steve. What's that mean? Not a good look for Steve. Oh, wait. So Kyle, are you going? I will miss my wrench. Yeah, I haven't booked my flight yet, but I'm almost surely going. Okay, good. Okay, we can talk on WhatsApp. If we get something fun going, maybe we can make it happen. There you go. We have to convince Cheetown and Boozer to join and Brett. Yes, you have to do that. Okay, or text me. There we go. All right, so we're caught up on the comments. I think we're going to wrap it. because I got to eat something and I get hungry. I start getting mean. Carlos says I've removed 2 links from the bracelet lately. Okay. Because you've lost some weight, and including in your wrist. Interesting. Okay. Wow. So that's something. All right. And you went and bought a link at vast cost for your date 8. I remember that. You bought a link. And let's see. Sure. I'll have to let Steve know I'm coming so he orders more steaks and whiskey bottles. Yes. Yes. Get everything all lined up. All right. So on that note, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks everybody for watching, and I will probably do a broadcast again tomorrow at 5, and I'm hoping that Steve will join us. There's a link in the description to the Hodinkee article about the stunners, the Hodinkee article about the new stunners that are coming out, and so check that out, and we will see you all next time.